Luckily, we've had so many people that have transitioned from here to go to New York, and it's our national impact to me that is one of the most proud things that I am. People in Warsaw don't always understand that we are bigger than this little nutshell that we live in here. It's like we are so well known in New York and on Broadway. We have so many alumni. I think this year alone, I think I counted there were 16 people from Wagon Wheel that were working on Broadway in New York within this season alone. Wow. And that's pretty much on the regular.
Hello friends, welcome back to Stories That Move, brought to you by Dream On Studios. I'm your host, Matt Dool. Today's conversation takes us inside one of the cultural gems of Indiana, the Wagon Wheel Center for the Arts. For 70 years, the Wagon Wheel has inspired audiences, launched careers, and created a legacy of community and creativity right here in Warsaw. And at the heart of it all are today's guests, Artistic Director Scott Michaels and Managing Director Jen Dow. Scott has been shaping the artistic vision of the Wagon Wheel for 30 years, directing, choreographing, and casting hundreds of productions while mentoring the next generation of performers. And Jen, his creative partner in life and in work, has worn just about every hat imaginable over the last 25 years, from performer and wig designer to producer, teacher, and now managing director. Together, Scott and Jen have helped to build programs like Wagon Wheel Junior, brought new energy to year-round productions, and carried forward the theater's mission of excellence, education, and community impact. This is a story about art, partnership, and the power of a small-town theater to change lives. Let's jump in and welcome Scott Michaels and Jen Dow to Stories That Move. Hey everybody, welcome back to Stories That Move. I'm your host, Matt Dool, and so excited for today because we have some friends from the Wagon Wheel. And as you know, if you've listened to the show, we love the Wagon Wheel. And so excited to have Jen Dow and Scott Michaels with us. Thank you for joining us today on Stories That Move.
Thank
you for having
us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So many things I'm excited to unpack with you two. But to start off, just take a moment, introduce yourselves to our audience. And Jen, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm Jen Dow. I am currently the managing director at the Wagon Wheel Center for the Arts, and it's taken me 26 years to get to that title. Not necessarily intentionally, I grew into it, started as a performer, moved into all the other hats, kept adding them on. So now I kind of have a multi-purpose functional role, affectionately known as the nuts and bolts person of the organization right now.
I love that. Yeah. I love that.
Great.
Scott.
And my name is Scott Michaels. I'm the artistic director at the Wagon Wheel Theater. I've been there for 30 years now. I started in 95 as a performer, choreographer, and I'm now the artistic director. And that's kind of been my role and my place here. I can't believe I've been here for 30 years with my beautiful wife and made a life here. So
yeah,
it's great to be here and great to talk to you about all of the stuff we've done and all the things that we have to look forward to.
Okay, amazing. So you kind of leaked the news here. So despite the different names, you all are married?
Yes.
Yeah. And how long have you been married?
Go ahead.
20. Is that because you don't know the other? No. So that was kind of a long process.
Yeah.
So 2012, we actually got married.
Okay.
Yep. And we started dating in 2000. So we were together for quite a while before we actually got married.
Yeah.
Okay, so through the Wagon Wheels, that's what people would call a showmance. Like you all came together through the shows.
It did. It was a slow romance
showmance
because I was actually on staff at the time and fraternizing with the actors and stuff like that. So we didn't really start dating till the last show.
Second season. The first season was purely professional. Of course, I will say most of the female acting company thought Scott Michaels was a dish. So come the end of the second season, we kind of started dating.
Yeah.
Awesome. So good. So wow, what an incredible history. 26 years, 30 years. So let's back up just a little bit. How did we get there? Tell me a little bit about where you're both from and maybe what childhood was like and what were the things along the way that kind of led you into this life that you now live?
Sure, I can start. Sure. I started. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
So my family's from there. They still live there, so I still go back and I do some things up in Milwaukee with some high schools and stuff. So I'm still actively involved in the community up there.
Yeah.
And I started out as an athlete, more or less. So I played hockey growing up. That was kind of my thing. I was on a travel team. I also did bowling, believe it or not. And I was kind of ranked in the city as far as like being a really strong bowler. So I toured with that as well. And of course I played baseball, you name it. I played pretty much every sport.
Yeah.
And then around high school time, I was in it was interesting and really cool. When I went to grade school, we were, part of our program was to take on, you had to play an instrument and you had to be in choir. So that was kind of our daily thing. So every day we had to participate in these things. So I didn't know anything different than knowing music was part of our daily routine as an educational program. So when we went to try to go to high schools, we had magnet schools at that time, because I'm old. We didn't have specific schools, but you could go to a specific school to take specific kind of training. So where my sister went, she went to the school with performing arts. That was kind of its gear. And I kind of always kind of followed my sister around. She was like, I'm going to go do that. I'm like going, oh, that kind of sounds interesting. I'll go do that. So I like playing in the band. I like playing my trumpet. And I thought that would be something really fun to do in my high school years, is kind of continue my music by getting my education. But when I got there, I found out that you have to play the football games on the weekend. And I was traveling for hockey and bowling and all over this. And I was like going, I can't do that. And they're like, well, then you can't go to this school. And I was like, but I really want to go to this school. Wow. And I'm like, so what do I have to do to stay in the program, to stay in school? And they're like, well, you can take choir. And I said, great, sure. So I signed up for choir, took that. And from the choir, they were like, you're in choir. Do you want to do show choir? I was like, sure, why not?
Okay.
And then I was in show choir. And then they were like going, do you want to audition for the play, the musical? And I was like, sure.
Yes.
Because I really had no vested interest in it, but I was asked and I was approached to kind of participate. And I was like, sure, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
As long as it fit in my schedule and I could do it with all my other activities and with the sports and stuff, I was like, fine. So I got in my first couple shows and I really enjoyed it. I was like, this is kind of fun. And I went all the way through my high school career. And then I got to the end of my high school career. And you have to remember, I graduated in 85. So I'll tell you how old I am. I don't really care. I graduated in 85. So nobody in my family had ever gone to college.
Okay.
They were pretty much high school and then go into the workforce. So I didn't really have plans to go to college. In my senior year in high school, we were our show that I was in, because it was a performing arts high school, was picked to perform in an arts festival, kind of like what they do now with all of these thespian shows and all that stuff. So we got picked to go to an arts festival, and I didn't know. I just was excited to go do the show again in front of a big theater in downtown Milwaukee at the Pabst Theater, and do all of the just do another performance of the show. I didn't realize that there were like recruiters there. So because this was all new, I wasn't really that wasn't really a thing. In '85 they weren't like, we're like, what, recruiters or whatever. Yeah. So but I found out that was what the ideal was. You take these shows there, and then colleges from all over the country come and watch these shows, and they recruit performers from the show. So I had no plans of going to college. In fact, this was in like June or July. Okay. Before I've just graduated. Yeah, right. And I was like, no plans. I was like, I'm going to get a job and start working. Yeah. And right after a performance that we did there, I was the lead in the show at the time, and I got approached by a person who said, you should really come audition for us. And I was like, audition for what? And they said, for a college. It's like, you can do that? It's like, I was just like, I thought you had to, sign up and turn in your grades and take a test or whatever. And no, they were like, no, you can literally just come up there and be a part of this program. I said, they're starting a brand new BFA program, Bachelor for Fine Arts, which at the time there were only like 4 or 5 schools in the country that even had a BFA. And her school was actually one of the first in the Midwest. And it was their department head who moved up to our department to create another program. And so they were recruiting all of these young people to try to start this program. And they said, the degree won't be there when you start, but it'll be there by the time you graduate. Okay. So I was like, this sounds kind of interesting. And then we were like, well, we're going to give you money. And I was like, oh,
this is getting better and better.
It's getting better. So it's like, I can go to school for basically free. And, I had to pay like minimal tuition or whatever, because it was an in-state school. And I was like, sure. And this is all, again, remember, none of this was planned. This is all just happenstance and kind of luck. It really was luck.
Yes.
So I said, sure, I'll go get a free education. And I went to Stevens Point in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. It was at the time, it was one of the few BFA schools in the country. And we had an incredible small group of people. There were like 10 people in our class.
Okay.
A lot of them are still working to this day. A lot of them are running theaters or have been on Broadway and stuff like that. So I'm very lucky to have been surrounded by such great people. And because there were only 10 of us, we got this incredible training. It was just incredible. I never had danced a step in my life, and I ended up, I'm a choreographer now and all this stuff, but I had never danced, nothing, because I was an athlete. I was like, I had balance coordination, but I had no skill. Never took a dance class, any of those things. And I got there, and I went there for, basically because I was a singer and an actor. So I was like, oh, I'll just do this and see how it goes. And I was lucky enough that the dance teacher at the time in the department was a guy by the name of James Moore, who was best friends with Jerome Robbins, who created West Side Story.
Oh, wow.
And created the American Ballet Theater. And he was best friends with Jerome. I mean, like really good friends.
Okay.
Like he would call, he worked on, he'd call and talk and be like, that's Jerome Robbins on the phone. Oh my God. It's like crazy. And he went back and did a couple shows for him in New York, and he was touring all over the world. And he had retired to this small school in Wisconsin because he had like a ranch and he wanted horses and he wanted a real life like we do. It's like he wanted to get out of the city and do all that stuff. So, and he introduced me. I was like, because I had no interest in dancing, because my perception of dance was like, oh yeah, ballet tights, running around in the studio. I was like, well, that's not really what I do. It's like I'm more of an athlete. I kind of like doing, these kind of shows. Yeah. And he's like going, have you ever seen West Side Story or anything? I'm like going, well, I mean, I saw the movie, but I, goes here. And he kind of took me aside and he taught me a combination from West Side Story. And I was like, this is dancing? Because it was like punching people and kicking and jumping all over the place and, doing these like turns. And I was like going, and, it's like, it was very athletic, something that I could connect to. Yeah. And I was like, and he's like, and I go, this is dancing? He said, oh yeah, this is dancing. And so he kind of took me under his wing. Wow. And there was many times he'd just bring me in the studio and really work with me one-on-one and coach me up and give me the confidence to say, no, it's like, you can be a great dancer. Dancers don't always have to be like technically trained. You don't have to have ballet background. You said you can act your way through the dance, literally act it. Yeah. And so I started pretending to be a dancer. It's kind of weird to say that, but I did. I started pretending to be a dancer. Wow. So yeah, that's kind of led me to, got me through college. And then I was like, I really got good at it. And that was it. It was like after college, I graduated. I actually never finished my degree. Okay. Weirdly to say. I'm one credit short. One credit short. My mom was going to kill me. But and I always swore that I'd go back and do it. But you have to remember, this was at a time where you couldn't take a virtual class or anything. There were no, I had to stop my career to go back and take the classes and be there. And every time I had set myself to do it, and I actually had enrolled several times to take this class, every time I got a gig and I was performing. So I was like, well, that's why I got the degree. It was to work, right? I'm already doing the thing that I'm like going, so I don't really need the paper anymore. I was just like, my career is already taking off. I'm doing what I need to do. I don't need to go back for that. So I never got around to it. So if you're listening, Stevens Point, you can always send me an honorary degree, right?
For sure.
I've earned it at this point, I think. So that's kind of how I got started and worked professionally for at least 6 years before I kind of lucked into this Wagon Wheel thing. And I'll go into that at some other point if you want to, but that's kind of my life journey. It's kind of crazy. All luck, all not planned, all accidental. But for some reason, I was guided on this path, and I'm incredibly lucky because I never would have met Jen, and I never would have had the life I had without those things happening. So.
Amazing. I love it. All right. Well, before we jump to Jen, we're coming to you next.
No, we're fine.
Talk to me about just I feel like, just the stereotypical thing of like from athlete to someone that's in the arts, like any sense of like having to fight through that and like kind of process, or just like it just felt natural to you?
It did. When I realized, everything, being a performer is like a team sport. So the show is like being in a team sport. So you need all the pieces, all the things to come together as a team in order to create these shows. So it's like there's no weak link. It's like you can't sit on the bench. There's nothing. You're in the show. You're involved. So that whole aspect of building a show from a ground up and actually performing with my team and my cast, I really felt was sports. And we always had the hardest time convincing people that being a dancer and an actor and a performer is way more difficult than ever anything I did in hockey or anything that I did in any other athletic. It is physically more demanding. It is emotionally more demanding. The stakes are higher than anything that I ever did as an athlete, because a lot of times it's like going, you're part of that team, sure, but you're out there for your time, right? So it's like, I go out there and I do my shift and, score a goal or whatever, and then you're back on the bench and you're sitting there for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
In a show, you're not like that. If you're not on stage, you're either changing costume or you're getting ready or you're moving scenery or you're moving the show along. So you're an active participant the entire time.
Yeah.
And even all the years that I played hockey, I needed more stamina, more training, I had to go to the gym more often. I had to take care of myself, my body better as a performer than I ever had as an athlete.
Wow.
And so these are always the conversations that we try to have with people. You don't understand that these athletes are like top performing athletes. They are at the peak of their game. The people on Broadway are doing 8 shows a week. 8 shows a week of doing Hamilton or doing whatever. It's like it is a grind. And
Yes.
it's like, and they're getting physical therapy every day. They're getting medical care. And that's because their bodies are breaking down on the daily, but because they're such trained athletes, they're professional athletes, they're able to kind of work their way through that. And people have done Hamilton for years. We have people from Wagon Wheel that have been there for years.
Right.
And, it's like, how do you do it? And they go, oh yeah, lots of physical therapy, lots of massages, lots of, because their bodies start to break down. So I didn't have a problem switching over to it. I thought it was the coolest thing. And actually that being an athlete really helped me kind of see what I had to do in order to stay in this business.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Jen, tell us about you.
Sure.
Yes.
It's so funny how much I may have discovered during his
We're learning new things. I love it.
little tidbits. I was like, I don't think I do that. So my journey is very similar to Scott's in the sense that it was very indirect, unintentional. It just kind of happened. I grew up an athlete as well. I grew up a gymnast.
Okay.
And so that was my thing. I did that all through grade school and into high school. And then in high school, I naturally gravitated to become a cheerleader. Mm-hmm. And for both gymnastics and cheerleading, there's a performative aspect. You're in front of crowds doing these things, and you're being judged. And there's dance involved in gymnastics with the floor routines. So that was kind of my skill set was going in that natural direction. And then with cheerleading, that was where I was following my sister's footsteps, kind of like Scott did. My sister was the captain of the cheerleading team, and I was 2 years younger than her. I naturally went on the cheerleading team. And when my sister graduated high school, I was in my junior year, and I said, wait, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And then I joined choir. I joined show choir. Oh, wow. I started to do the theater. And that was where I found my home. I felt more acceptance there than on the cheerleading team. There was that level of cattiness in high school that I felt like I was being scrutinized all the time, but there was an acceptance in the theater. So I naturally went into that route. Meanwhile, I had been taking piano my whole life up to that point, and I was starting to discover my voice for the first time, so I started taking voice lessons. And because I was athletic, dance came naturally. Again, I wasn't a trained dancer growing up. Yeah, there were some ballet classes and gymnastics, but and I took tap when I was 4. I probably don't even have any memory of that. But so I did have that natural coordination, kind of like Scott did, because I started in sports. But then I started the theater, and man, I was hooked because not only the connection with the people and the castmates and the directors and all that, but I felt like I could be myself. I found myself for the first time instead of trying to be my sister's shadow.
Yeah.
So that's where that happened. And then I kind of had a crisis at the end of high school because I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. What do I want? I knew I was going into college. Unlike Scott, everyone in my family went to college. So it was expected of me.
Yeah.
So because I was uncertain of what degree I wanted to pursue, I went to a 2-year school. In between, I studied voice and piano as my primary instruments, thinking, let's just do a music ed associate degree. So I did that. I also took lots of French classes because it interested me. Yeah. I took a lot of web design classes that interested me.
Okay.
So that happened, and I got my 2-year degree, and I was like, Milliken, the college that Scott was just referring to earlier, one of the only places in the country that had a BFA. Very few people had a Bachelor of Fine Arts in musical theater.
Yeah.
Was like 45 minutes from my hometown. I grew up in Springfield, Illinois, by the way.
Okay.
So this is Decatur, Illinois. And I was like, that's where I want to go because they had a strong theater department, but I'm not going to study theater because I'm going to be the smart person and study musical education. So I had something reliable to lean on, right?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
2 weeks into that music ed degree, there was this divine intervention that happened. I got a phone call from one of my directors that directed me in a community theater show that I was playing the lead in. I got a phone call from my dad. I got a phone call from my aunt. My aunt was my muse growing up.
Okay.
She was very much into musical theater. She taught me some voice, and she was a pianist as well. So I got phone calls from these people all in one night. And they said no one called each other and said to call me. They could tell I was grossly unhappy. I was just not feeling this 2-year degree.
Yeah.
The music ed degree. I was not feeling the music ed degree.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're there. Why don't just switch your major to musical theater and give it a go? You only have one life to live. And so I did. The next week, I auditioned for the musical theater department. Thankfully, I got in. And I just went from there and did 3 years of musical theater degree at Millikan. And yeah, that's kind of my progression. And then in 1999, aging myself, I graduated from Millikan, and my first gig out of college was the Wagon Wheel.
No way.
It's your first professional job. Yeah.
Actually, a lot of my classmates, I again, the nuts and bolts person comes through. I coordinated my senior class to all do a road trip to the Wagon Wheel auditions in Chicago. Yeah. So we all went up there and auditioned. Several of us got cast that summer. And yeah, that's where my Wagon Wheel journey started.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love the moment that family were reaching out to you to just speak that truth to you, and what a cool testament to, as we're figuring out things in life, to be open to what the people that know and love us the best have to say.
Yeah.
Right?
Meanwhile, I'm thinking my parents want me to do the right thing and get a music ed degree, but no, they're like, no, follow your heart. They knew I was my best self when I was doing theater, so they encouraged that, and I feel so lucky to have that support system in my family. It's just really cool.
Incredible parents. I don't think many people can accuse their parents of pushing them towards the arts.
Right. It's so true.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Okay. So 99, first job for you, Wagon Wheel. How did it start for you for the Wagon Wheel?
Yeah, mine's kind of an interesting way to have lots of interesting stories, I guess, about this, my journey here. So I graduated from, didn't graduate, but I left college in 91 to book my first gigs. I did a lot of theme parks when I first started. So I did like Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. I did Six Flags in Chicago. I did Valley Fair in Minneapolis. I did like a riverboat thing. And then I was lucky enough to meet a gentleman during all my theme park stuff who just happened to be the choreographer for Perry Como.
Okay.
Everybody knows Perry Como, their famous Christmas songs, whatever.
Yep.
My time were much more, because I mean, my parents watched him on TV and they knew, and he was super famous. They had this little gig where they were like, oh, do you want to come and audition and do this little Perry Como tour thing? It's a holiday thing.
Yeah.
I was like, sure. Great. So I didn't even have to really audition for it. I got it. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. And so that was my first experience with like what professional life was like. I mean, we were playing like 20,000 seat arenas and did a stint at, the Atlantic City and toured all over the East Coast. And it was really interesting to see what it was like. I mean, we went to his house and he has like Kennedy Center honors sitting there and Grammy Awards and platinum albums and records. And I was like going, wow, this is like insanity about what this man had accomplished. And it was my first like glimpse into what it was like to be famous.
Okay.
And what that life was like. And I was like, okay, that's not for me. I mean, we would see the shows and we were like going, okay, that's not what I wanted to do. And I liked performing, but I was never, this is going to sound weird, I never loved performing. I was always fascinated with the process and fascinated with putting pieces together in shows. And people may not know what a swing is in a show, but a swing is a person who covers many tracks. Okay. And so like if I was in a production, like for example, I did a production of West Side Story in Chicago and I was a swing, every day could be a different thing. Like I could go on as lead, I could go on as an ensemble member. There were days when people were sick or injured where I had to combine tracks. which means I had to do figure out ways for two characters to come together to get all of their dialogue and all of their scene work in, or if they had dancing sequences or a solo, I had to figure out how to make that part of my track. And I found that fascinating. I just loved it. And I was really good at remembering things and seeing the greater picture. And I was like, wow, I really think I want to do this. And I remember all of us in BFA programs do a senior showcase where you are tasked to put together a show. You have to cast it, pick the material, choreograph it, direct it, do all those things. And I really found that incredibly energizing as an artist. I was like, oh, this is really cool to put it all together. And the performing was fun. And I have ADD, self-professed. I guess I don't really diagnose, but the minute the show went up, I was bored. I was like, oh, so now I just do this for 8 weeks? I was like, this isn't really exciting to me. It's like going, I loved the process and I loved opening night, but after that, I was like going rinse and repeat was not something that filled my cup. I was just like, oh, this is okay. I'll do it because I'm good at it. Yes. But it wasn't filling my cup.
Interesting.
And so when I started really going into the performing or the swing stuff of it, people were like, hey, you should probably look into maybe directing or getting into those things. And I'm like, yeah, sure. But I was 25. I'm like, nobody's going to give me a shot. Nobody. So I had worked a bunch of regional theaters. I'd done stuff in Chicago. I thought that I was going to make my move to New York. I was ready. I had made some great connections. Music Theater Wichita, which is one of the biggest regional theaters in the country, I worked at for a summer and made a lot of Broadway connections. There were a lot of people there who were currently working in New York. And they were like, you need to come. I'm telling you, you're going to work. Just come to the city. And I was like, great. So that summer, this is summer 95, remember it well. Summer 95, I was like, I'm going to just do every audition that I can, practice, get myself ready, had planned to get my sublet in New York, and I was all ready to move. And I was like, I'm just going to audition for as many things as I can and really try to see, just try to improve myself so that when I get to New York, I'm going to be ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So I went to every audition that summer, and the one summer I went to was Wagon Wheel. And a lot of my friends from college had worked there at one point or another. Okay. It was kind of a big connection that way. And I was like, I'll just do it. I had no interest in doing another summer stock because I was like, I'm not going to spend a whole summer working. I want to go to New York, get moved in. And I was like, I'll just go and audition. So I was there auditioning, and I went through the whole process, and I got kept to the end. And they were like, tomorrow we're going to do a callback, and we're seeking choreographers. And I was like, you're looking for choreographers? I never heard of this before at an audition where they're like, we're looking for choreographers. I was like, okay, so what do you have to do? What are you doing? And they go, tomorrow, just bring a short combination and we'll teach it. You'll teach it to a group of people, and that will not only be the dance callback, but it'll also be the way that we will audition you to be a choreographer.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. And they happened to be doing Damn Yankees that year.
Okay.
So I'm an athlete. So I went home and I'm like going, I can do a baseball combination. This will be fun. So it's like, I was like going, I put all of this stuff for feeling the baseball, batting. And, I was, had all these intricate combinations that felt like sports. So it was just like, I just put together this nice, fun kind of funny kind of athletic combination, with swing and misses, and I added some humor to it and all this kind of stuff. And it was just like a fun thing for me to do. Well, it turns out that Tony Homerkhauser, who still works here at the Wagon Wheel to this day, was in my group. He was one of the groups that I taught the choreography to, and he'd worked at the Wagon Wheel for a couple of years. Okay. And I didn't know this. I was just like, I got to sign this group. I taught him the combination. So it turns out that he went to the then one of the directors, Roy Hind, who ended up being the artistic director here. He said to him, you got to hire this guy. You got to go check out. I mean, this is the way he taught the combination, the way he connected with all of us. He goes, he's just, he's going to be really good at this. Yeah. And I had and I just did the audition, and I was like, great, bye. Yes. Packed up my stuff. And then I got a phone call out of the blue. It was like a month before I was supposed to leave to go to New York. And they called me up and he said, we want to offer you a summer contract. We're going to give you leads in these shows. And then we want you to choreograph Damn Yankees, Student Prince, and Guys and Dolls. That was the big one. And Guys and Dolls with Roy. And I was like, wow, 25 years old and I'm getting offered a choreography gig. Yeah. And this is what I want to do. I got to take it. I got to take it. I got to just do it. So I put all of my life on hold and all of the things in it. And I went to Wagon Wheel. And that's how it happened, because I met Roy and we did Guys and Dolls together. And I didn't know that he was going to become the artistic director the next year. Yeah. I just was there to do my thing. And I was like, I'll do this. And then I'm going to go. And actually, I'd already booked a contract to go to Japan and do a show at a resort in Japan for 8 months prior to that gig.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to do that and then go to Japan for 8 months. So, and while I was packing to go to Japan, Rory goes, would you want to come back next year and choreograph the whole season and kind of be like the resident choreographer for 1996? And I said, well, yeah, I mean, I get back from Japan like in June, May, end of June there.
Yeah.
I said, I could come right here and do that and then move to New York. So it was like, oh, I got these contracts lined up and I'll do this and I'll go to New York. And I never left.
Yeah.
Really. I never went to New York. I started choreographing here in 96 and then I started like dabbling in directing and I got to the other side and I was like going, I don't want to perform anymore.
Wow.
It's like, I still performed, don't get me wrong. I still always perform.
Yeah.
But my main focus became choreographing and directing. That was
Okay.
it. But that was my in at that age. It was unheard of for
Amazing.
me to do that.
Amazing.
So that's it.
That's awesome. So for you with, I think your passion in those swing roles and then moving into the directing, for you, is it you said the process, is it the problem solving? Is it the...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. And what's fascinating is that I love problem solving for shows in general, but doing it in the round is next level. That is like the ultimate problem solving because whatever they did in New York, whatever they did on Broadway or the tours that these people go see, none of that's going to work in the round. Zero.
Right.
We can't worry. You can't have those big sets. You're not going to have, special effects. You're not going to be able to do like all of these things that those shows rely on or need to function. How are you going to do that show in the round with minimal things and make it just as impactful, make it even more immersive, even be better with the storytelling, be able to actually do the show in a round small stage? So for me, it was the ultimate challenge because it's like when I go off and do a proscenium show, which is like a standard theater, and it's fun to put the show up in that, but you're not solving as many problems. You're like, oh, we can just have a flat, or we can fly something in, or we can have this come from the wings, or we can have a house come out of the floor, whatever. We can do those things, right?
Yeah.
But in the round, I was like going, we can't do any of that. So how am I going to do Little Mermaid? How am I going to do these big, Mary Poppins, whatever? It's like all these big productions. How am I going to do them in the round without the aid of technical, savvy and technical elements? So that's what really excited me, and that's why I never really left, because it's like every other challenge to me, kind of paled in comparison.
Wow.
It really did. It was like I still go off and do things, where I work at other theaters, and the problem solving proscenium is child's play for me. I'm like, oh, that. Because it's like, I have all this stuff and they have money and you have all these things where it's like, oh, I can just, I don't have to worry about like figuring out how that's going to happen. I can just be like, oh, just bring a flat in.
Yes.
It's like, oh, just bring that wing, that set in from the side. It's fine. But in the round, we can't do that. So, it's like, so I kind of really have enjoyed it. And that's why people are like, why are you still here? And I'm like, there aren't a lot of opportunities to go off and create the way that we get to create. And I don't want to have it easy. I don't want to have to remount something they did on Broadway. They're like, oh, well, they did this on Broadway. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. So you can't pressure me to do that because we can't do that. So I have to think of another way to do it. And that's the fun.
I love that. So a few years later, you come on the scene, Jen, and then...
Yeah. So 1999, my first summer at the Wagon Wheel. I loved it. Of course, I was hooked right away. And this is what happened. Every summer, they would announce the next summer season. Mm-hmm. And I said, wow, a whole new 7 shows to add to my repertoire? Okay, I want to go back. I kept going back because I was like, that's a whole nother set of shows that I wanted to be in. It's kind of a serious sense of FOMO if I didn't audition and I didn't get to go back. But meanwhile, the Wagon Wheel's just operating summer and holiday time.
Sure.
So I was like the ultimate like gig artist, doing all of the cliche things that gig artists do, waiting tables, getting temp jobs, working the auto show circuit. And there were a couple times I took a cruise gig and I did that for 8 months, performed on a cruise ship.
Okay.
I worked with the Radio City Rockettes for 3 separate holiday seasons, so I did miss out on the holiday shows.
Not as a Rockette, though.
No, I'm way too short.
So people are like going, was she a Rockette?
Everyone thinks that I'm a Rockette, and I say no. So just to tell you more about that. So the Rockettes perform. But what do they do? What happens when they go off and do their next costume change? They bring in a whole nother set of performers, singers and dancers, to do other skits or whatever,
Yes,
dance
yes.
routines. And so I was hired as a singer dancer, primarily a singer.
Yeah.
And I was also cast as Mrs. Claus or understudying Mrs. Claus because it's the holiday show. So one year I actually got to play Mrs. Claus. And so, yeah, it was
Very cool.
that was a really, really great. It paid really well. So it was a great gig to have like in between.
Sure.
So I felt very lucky to get that opportunity. But again, I kept having that sense of FOMO. I want to be at the Wagon Wheel. I want to be at the Wagon Wheel. And meanwhile, I was doing the things, and this wig design thing happened. I was working in a regional theater in Wisconsin, and the wig designer had left. And they approached me and said, "Hey, do you know anyone?" And I was like, "Well, I did that in college. I took extended studies in wig and makeup design in college, and I designed a show in college, co-designed a show in college." And I was like, I'll give it a go. I happened to be playing Adelaide in Guys and Dolls, and they needed a wig designer for Guys and Dolls. So I was like, I'll do it. It felt natural to just move into that. And plus, again, I'm the type of person that sees a deficiency, and I'm like, I can do that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to help out this theater. So that was my first wig design. And then Wagon Wheel was happening every summer. We had an awesome costume and wig designer, and he was leaving, and we had a new costume designer come in and didn't want anything to do with wigs. And I was like, well, maybe this is my opportunity to do that. So that's kind of how wig design happened for the Wagon Wheel. So now I was already wearing two hats. I was performing and wig designing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the progression of how things just kept snowballing for me. There were times where, again, a deficiency happened. We didn't have a wardrobe person for a show. So I was like, well, I could use a little bit of extra money. I'll do wardrobe. I'll do all the laundry at the end of the show, wash everyone's sweaty clothes. So yeah, that again, another hat. And then stage management kind of fell into my lap because
The junior program.
the junior program started.
Yes.
And so that was my progression of getting more and more and more hats. I feel like that Shel Silverstein cartoon, with the guy with all the hats and the luggage on his back. That was kind of me. That was my progression. And then the gig artist, living out of our suitcases. In 2011, Scott was approached by the then board of directors because we were already nonprofit at the Wagon Wheel. At 2011, Scott sat me down. He said, "Let's go eat lunch at Spike's." Spike's, right? And he turned to me. He said, "So how would you feel about moving to Warsaw year round?" And I said, "You mean packing up my suitcase and not opening it up again?" Yeah, it felt like the right thing to do.
Yes.
We were, starting to get that burnt out,
Sure.
like not having a home, not having that steady, not getting to have a dog, and it just felt right to do. So that's kind of how that journey to moving to Warsaw
Just
came
decided to settle in. Yeah.
And doing the grind of finding the next job to be able to make your rent was definitely hard, but it's a real thing as an artist. You don't know what's to come 5 months down the line. You just don't. It could be nothing. So you're like, well, what's the next restaurant I can work at?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, for both of you with 25, 30 years respectively, with the Wagon Wheel, what do you want the community to know about this place? Again, I think it's, from my perspective, I think it's something that a lot of people take for granted, that we have this incredibly special place that puts on, as you said, Scott, just unbelievable shows. I moved here 11 years ago and, remember being invited to my first show and just thinking like, okay, local theater. All right. But then just walking in, having this experience of like, oh my goodness, this amazing theater in the round, this unbelievable. What has stood out to you? What are just some of the pieces that, again, keep you coming back, and the things that you say, I just wish our community knew this?
Scott touched a little bit on just the theater itself. There's something magical about the theater. It's not tangible. You can't describe it. You can't put words to it. There's an energy there. There's just something really special. So that was definitely part of the draw. The theater itself and the creative freedom that Scott touched on, being in the round.
Yeah, as artists, you don't get a lot of opportunities to have free reign to create whatever you want because of there's producers, there's people over the top, there's things that they say you have to do it this way because we need to do X, Y, Z. Granted, I mean, we're in Warsaw, so there's limitations on the content, but we tend to, when we get projects and stuff like that, we are fully invested into what we're doing there. So we're able to kind of make these choices, creative wise, without worried about like, well, I wonder what the board's going to think about that. It's like, we're just like, I know this is going to be great and great for the show. So that, as artists, that's the ultimate kind of praise when you're trusted or entrusted in an organization to kind of put your stamp on things. So, and we've really, both of us have put our stamp, we feel, on the Wagon Wheel as a whole, as far as not only the product, but the people, the culture that we create there. For us is almost more important than the product sometimes. We want the culture of the Wagon Wheel to be the thing that we're known for.
Yeah, collaborative, welcoming, unique, because we're in the round. A lot of the artists that come through have never get to work in the round, and it's a much more natural process than being on a proscenium stage. And, to go back to your original question, that intangible energy, that specialness of the theater, it's also reflected in the community that comes and supports the Wagon Wheel. The 70 years of tradition, you hear about these people that pass down their favorite seats to their next generation of the family. And the number of people, 836 seats in the round, that's actually pretty big for a regional theater. Yeah. And to have been an actor on that stage, being surrounded by the people that just really truly go on that ride with you, there's an immersive quality to In the Round. And I think that our audience really loves that aspect, that they are completely immersed in this sense of communion with the actors and the 835 other people that they're sitting there with. They're laughing together, they're crying together. It's just a remarkable feeling that I have not experienced at other theaters personally. Yeah. And it is really unique about this place. And I do think that most of our community see that. They see that's why the Wagon Wheel is special. Yes. That's why they keep coming back and saying this is our favorite thing to do at the holiday time together.
So looking forward to it every year.
Yeah.
And I think it's, for us too, it's like it's been the growth of the kid and the youth programs and seeing the energy of the community that's come through all of the kids that we see grow up here through the programs and become adults and, go out in the community and go out in the world and work. It's the ultimate giving back. It's like whenever you get into a job or whatever, it's like, what can I give back? And the arts and the Wagon Wheel has been able to give back so much to this community, I feel, and we still have more to give as we move forward. But it's just really seeing the youth kind of grow up through this program, which didn't really exist when we started working here. There was really no, when I first started here, there was no, because it was just a professional theater in the summer. So there was a few summer classes that Nikki Fisher started. But basics, not like a year-round grooming things where we have a place for kids to come in and experience the arts in a way that they may not get in school, so in a professional setting. So that was the thing that I think that energized us. Yeah,
and that was why the Wagon Wheel Junior program was a no-brainer when Scott got hired full-time. And I decided to move here too. We decided to build a home together, and then we got married. The Wagon Wheel Junior program was a no-brainer. Yeah. We knew there was a serious need for youth to get more performance opportunities. And Scott was like, well, that's what we do best. We put on shows. Let's give this opportunity and do the same 2-week intensive collaboration with this group of youth and put on a professional quality show. And that was what we wanted to give them. We knew there were theater programs in schools, not necessarily a lot at the time, but there was definitely that need. And so we did that. We created the junior program. That was mostly Scott. I just was along for the ride.
You were just as big a part of it.
But I wasn't full time. It was just Scott full time, and I was still gig working at the Wagon Wheel. I was getting hired by things, so it was also kind of a maybe a little selfish way for me to getting work, and I was filling in the times with other stuff like teaching voice, and again getting the youth involved. And by teaching voice, we got them in the shows, and then I meet the parents, and then so there was just this really great need for that, and it just kept going.
Yeah. And then as we grow into the nonprofit and the nonprofit mission that we're setting up here, which is still one of our biggest problems of getting people, because Bruce Schaffner owning the theater for all those years and it being for profit, there's just a mindset from a lot of the old people not realizing that we're nonprofit, even though we've been a nonprofit since like 2010.
2010.
So it's like, it's still trying to get that message out to be like, no, you don't understand that, ticket sales aren't enough. It's like going, we can't, you can see that the theater may be full for this performance, but that's not enough to, support all the programming, all of the production costs, all that stuff that go into actually running an organization. So, that continual support from the community is so important for us in a backing standpoint. And, it's like we really want to get that message out more than anything. Is just to remind people that what we do here is amazing and we're glad you support it and glad you're a part of it, but know that we can need that continued support as we move forward as a nonprofit.
Yeah, and I think that message is, like you said, it's been a little fuzzy since, Bruce Schaffner, I have to say, he left a legacy.
He did.
He
for sure.
supported the theater. He floated the theater, made the theater survive for as long as it did. And he initiated the first nonprofit group. And he knew Wagon Wheel needed to stay in this community. So he propelled that nonprofit trajectory, yes. And so I just wanted to make sure he got his
absolutely. I mean, without
recognition.
Bruce, we would not be standing here today.
But that did create a little fuzziness of, but Wagon Wheel survived for that long. Why now do we have to support the Wagon Wheel? It's because it's just an instrumental shift on how we're funded. Yeah. It's not a person in the community that's supporting us. It's a group of people. It's an entire community that has to support this program. Yeah. So that we're hoping to clear that up with more messaging to make sure people know that we need 60%, the NEA, National Endowment for the Arts says
60-40. Yeah.
60-40. 60% is contributions from our community or donors, and 40% we should only rely on ticket sales. Yeah. Right now that's
kind of the formula for a healthy.
Yes, but it's very askew. Right now we're operating like, what is it? 85 and 15. We're 85% reliant on ticket sales and 15% on. Okay. Yeah. So we really need to shore up that divide, just to be a more sustainable, true nonprofit. That's what our goals are.
So some work to be done.
Yeah. And the messaging, I think, is a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Well, and I would say with that, again, in 11 years of living here, I feel like you all are kind of living through a special moment right now where I do feel like I'm hearing more and more about the Wagon Wheel and things that are happening and more involvement in the community. And so I know some of that is a result of you all have kind of created a leadership shift in the last year of, traditional nonprofits, executive director, kind of one leader, top down. You all aren't doing that. So describe that a little bit for me and kind of just some of the philosophy behind that.
Yeah, we made the shift. We felt that the strongest thing in our organization is the faculty that we've created, the staffing that we've already kind of built around between myself, Jen, Kira, Holly, and then we've had a great support staff with Sam doing our marketing, and we have Lisa who's doing stage management, with Matthew who's doing our technical director stuff. And then we have now a costume shop manager, DJ, who's taken on board, and we have a great support staff up front. The ED model wasn't really working for us in the sense that we're trying to bring somebody into the organization. Now, if we were grooming from the bottom up, somebody that was in the organization established and moving into the executive director, that kind of flow might have worked a little bit more succinctly with the organization and the community. But bringing somebody in from the outside, there was always the challenge of like, how long is this going to take for them to...
Definitely a 2-year learning curve.
Like a learning curve just to figure it out and to be like, oh, so now I understand the financials and the organization and how this all kind of works. And we had done that a couple of times now, and we're like going, we just can't keep going back to this well of like starting all over again. I said, we have these people in place that granted, a lot of these are new things for us as far as new responsibilities, new hats, more new hats. But people who understand the community and the organization, we thought was outweighed, some of the other things that an executive director type of person might bring into the role. So we're attacking with our four-headed monster, we call it here.
Four-headed beast.
Yeah, the ELT, the we call it.
Yeah. And again, there's that loyalty and the passion behind the four that are now in place that you can't interview. You really can't. You think you can, and it was just it felt logical to do that. We are also invested. We've invested in this legacy that this group of people is creating currently, and so we have personal, emotional stakes in
in
propelling
everything.
that legacy,
Like everything.
making sure Wagon Wheel stays around, making sure Wagon Wheel's vibrant. The mission is alive. We're supporting youth and everyone in the community, giving them a place to commune.
And making sure it's sustainable. That's the main thing.
No, I love the idea of the leadership being very invested, very local, and just connected, obviously, for a very long time. But as you mentioned, you don't want the leadership to be, hey, Warsaw's a stop and then it's next. But from your actors, your talent,
Complete opposite,
complete
right?
opposite, right? And
Yeah.
and what I know is that we have some incredibly just amazing, successful performers who have come through and are now on Broadway and now doing big things. So talk a little bit about that and what that's meant to you.
Oh, that's my favorite thing to talk about.
Yeah.
It really is, because that is the gift of this theater. Truly is. People may not know this, but we all of our employees in the summer stock season and in the Christmas show are really young performers. I mean, these are kids that are in college for the most part. I'm not seeking people who've been out for working professionally for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Not that we don't, but the way our summer stock is functioned and stuff like that, it gears itself more to college kids to get that experience, to get that training, to get their first experiences to perform. And our mission basically has always been, I never wanted to become a union theater, which means to have equity contracts like the Broadway and touring houses is, only because I think the most valuable thing about the Wagon Wheel and what we do and what we represent is to give young people their first shot at being a lead or being a performer and getting a job. If we had equity contracts, 90% of the people that came to there would not be playing leads. They wouldn't be getting the experiences that they get. We wouldn't be hiring most of them because, again, I'd be hiring, if I needed somebody that was 40 or 50 years old, I'd hire somebody that's 40 or 50 years old. I wouldn't hire a college kid to play that.
Yeah.
So it affords them the opportunities. And a lot of these kids, this is their very first performing job ever professionally. It's a great learning and growing experience for them. I go on an audition tour every single year to all over the country. It's insanity. She wants me to slow down, but it's like, I get it.
I just miss you.
I miss you. I know it's hard. I go on the road for it feels like months, to go to all these programs, and I go to the top regional, top colleges in the country. So I go to a Michigan FSU, CCM. And we go to New York. We do all these things. Chicago. We do all these stops, and I see about between 1,500 and 2,000 performers every year audition for us.
Wow.
And these are from the top schools in the country.
Wow.
So I kind of get the pick of the crop, I like to say. It's like I'm picking some of these best kids, and I can tell. I'm like, you are going to be on Broadway. I mean, you are going to be a star. You are going to be so talented. And I get the joy and the honor of putting these puzzle pieces together every summer of a cast of about 20 people of who I'm going to bring in to fit into this little puzzle here. And luckily, we've had so many people that have transitioned from here to go to New York. And it's our national impact to me that is one of the most proud things that I am.
Yeah.
People in Warsaw don't always understand that we are bigger than this little nutshell that we live in here. Yeah. It's like we are so well known in New York and on Broadway. We have so many alumni. I think this year alone, I think I counted there were 16 people from Wagon Wheel that were working on Broadway in New York within this season alone.
Wow.
And that's pretty much on the regular. It's like we do this all the time. I can open a playbill, or I can turn on an ad for a Broadway show, or I can see a clip and I'm like, oh, there's a Wagon Wheel kid. Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, and that's beyond just the talent you see on stage too.
Yeah.
We have designers that go on to design on Broadway or design Universal Studios.
Music directors.
Yeah, music directors. So,
Wow.
So I mean, every summer, 65 plus employees that become little vehicles to spread our national reputation, not just New York, but all over the country, or even internationally. We have some people that.
Yeah.
So our reputation our legacy that we built at the Wagon Wheel, the culture, the collaborativeness, they all can say Wagon Wheel got me started because they let me find myself as an artist. And it's really a really cool thing. And we do like to say that our reputation is much more well-known nationally than sometimes locally.
More so,
So when we say the community, we don't just limit it to just the immediate Warsaw area and Fort Wayne and South Bend. We're talking about a national community, our theater community. So it's really cool.
So I saw this on social media. my wife and I, we went to Sister Act this summer, which was
Were you on the night that Morgan was
amazing.
there? Or?
We were the night before.
Okay.
Oh,
So
you missed
then
it.
I know. So then it's like the next night I'm like, but that's okay. So tell that story, because I just think what an amazing thing of your former lead coming back to see. But
It was super cool.
Sam is amazing.
Sam is amazing for reaching out to me.
that.
And Morgan is an incredible individual as well. So Morgan Woods, who was our original Dolores in Sister Act back in 2017, I think, 16. Thank you. You have to remember, I've done a lot of shows over a lot of years. So it's and I have to put the people in their places.
Hey,
but in
that's
2016, she was our Dolores, which was the lead in Sister Act for that season. And she was like anybody else, a college kid who was, who I saw was immensely talented. And I'm like, you are going to be on Broadway someday.
Yeah.
And, this was one of I think this was her first gig, her first professional gig.
Yeah.
And we had an amazing time that summer. She was in most of the season. And like everybody else, we make these great connections with these kids. And she went off. And then this is right after COVID, she actually booked Hamilton. And her route is a little bit cooler than everybody else's, I feel. She got to actually do the show in Puerto Rico with Lin Miranda, who of course created Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
So she was a part of that company that did this whole special thing for the national disaster that can't think of what the water is. What happened to Puerto Rico?
Hurricane?
The hurricane, but it was the tsunami. Thank you.
There we go.
That's the word.
Hey,
All
that's
right.
okay.
Tsunami. So and the hurricane. So the national disaster. So that the country was devastated. And so they did this as a fundraiser. And she was able to go do the show with him. And then she was on that tour without Lynn, but moving on. And she did the national tour for a few years and then was bumped up to the Broadway company to take on the role as the lead of Eliza on Hamilton on Broadway. Yeah. So she was doing that in New York and had heard that we were doing Sister Act again this year.
Okay.
And I had cast this young girl, Armani, who now is on the national tour of Anne Juliet. Now she's on Broadway, basically.
Wow.
So this happened within the last month or so. So, which is amazing. So I had hired her, and she kind of went off on her own to go to New York to see Hamilton and to see Morgan, and met her at the stage door and said, "I'm playing Dolores at Wagon Wheel." And Morgan was like going, "Wouldn't that be funny if I came and saw that?" Or, made that connection. They talked, and we had been doing this whole alumni spotlight this year, which Sam was spearheading, and had reached out to Morgan to kind of speak on her experiences here. And they started talking and communicating and connecting. And behind the scenes, even unbeknownst to me, it was a surprise to me too until the day before, that he had worked out that on the day off, they have a day off on a Monday, that they were, it was 4th of July week.
Yeah.
They have a show off that day, that she would fly out here literally, do the performance the night before, fly out, and then fly back the next morning for the matinee. So she flew out here and surprised our audience, surprised Armani, surprised everybody at our entire company and cast. And not only was it amazing that she made the trip here for that and to speak to the audience and all that stuff, but the message that she was able to invoke to the kids that were here to inspire them to say, I was in your shoes. I was right here on this stage. I know what this theater means. I know what it meant for my career.
Yes.
It was the foundational step for me to get to Broadway. She said, I'd never done a lead like that before. And to have the confidence coming off of carrying a show, I knew I could do it.
Yeah.
And Lynn saw that I could do it. It's like, so it was that journey. We were a part of that. We were, I feel like without that, she might not have gotten that far. She might've been in the ensemble and never got to play the lead, but so grateful to have her come back, and it's such a great story to tell. And we have hundreds of stories like that. It's like when we have Tony Award winners from Wagon Wheel, we have, such a great history, and it's so fun for me. I go to New York every year to audition, and I can walk down the streets of New York and pass every marquee in every theater and spot a Wagon Wheel kid. I'm like, oh, look, here's another one.
Yes.
And then it's hard for me to pick what show to go see, but it's like, it's just so, I'm so proud of this theater and the legacy that we've created. And I'm so proud of the continuing impact And it's that we're so part of this little journey that they get to go on.
Yeah. Oh, as you should be. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. Thank you for stewarding just unbelievable moments like that, again, for our community, what a special thing. What a powerful thing. So, okay, it'd be a crime if I let you all go without some sense of some crazy theater stories, because I know there's got to be tons of just things didn't go the way you were thinking. You had to do an insane pivot. I know it's going to be hard to pick.
Oh, no.
I got one.
But what's a standout?
What, are you going to do the Tarzan one?
Because I was on the center stage when it happened.
And I'm the one behind the scenes.
With
basically in the ball. So to give a little preface of this, okay? So we were charged by Disney Theatricals. Here's another great thing about the Wagon Wheel. So we were charged by Disney Theatricals. They approached us.
Okay.
The Disney Theatricals, like who produces Beauty and the Beast and produced all of these shows on Broadway, Frozen, whatever, for all these Broadway shows.
Yes.
We had done a couple Disney shows in the past, and I'd actually worked with them to do a couple junior things off-site someplace else.
Yeah.
And we were approached to do the first regional premiere of Tarzan.
Wow.
So they were like, would you do this? Because they wanted to do it in the round. They wanted to see what we could do with it in the round.
Okay.
Because it was originally conceptually supposed to be done in the round. Phil Collins wrote the music for that, and they had this whole idea of these drummers being around the top of the theater and doing all the percussion stuff that would make it super immersive.
Yes.
And of course, when they moved it to Broadway, that all got X'd because they wanted to just do it on a big proscenium stage. So, so they thought it would be super cool to see what we could come up with and what we could do with it.
Yeah.
So they sent me there was no script that had been completed for the regional. The music hadn't been completed. We were getting it in stages.
The script changed last minute.
And we got a script change and a character addition.
A whole new character.
We would start rehearsal and we're like, there's a new character in here. And we didn't have anybody in the cast for it. Nobody. So I had to call somebody that had worked there, Nick, who was playing a lead in the next show and had worked there the summer before. I'm like, can you get here a few weeks? He could only get there for like 4 days early. So we had to plug him in at the last minute to do this thing. And so the pressure was on for the show. I mean, like we have this, had an amazing scenic designer who actually designed, it was part of the design hub of the new Universal Studios. He designed kind of the hub area of this.
Wow.
He's brilliant. But he designed this incredibly immersive, beautiful set. We knew Disney Theatrical was coming to see it. They were coming for a week to like give us notes, to say to have a conversation, what worked, what didn't work. They took notes on what they wanted to produce the show as, and what they wanted to market it as. So if you go online now and you look for MTI and you look at Tarzan, you will see photos of our production. You will see links to what we did for that actual show to help guide people through it.
So cool.
So it was super really cool.
Yes.
But with this show came a lot of pressure because we decided to do all these kind of like special effects, and we wanted to wow Disney and make them give them what they wanted. So Jen now can continue on with this story because again, we had all these special effects set up for the opening of the show.
Yeah.
So here we go.
So I got cast not only as one of the apes in the ensemble, but I was also the mother of baby Tarzan. And David Schlumpf, who is still on our board still, again, people love the Wagon Wheel and they stick. So David Schlumpf and I are holding our prop baby center stage around this beautiful circular scrim, which we were projecting water on. So we were going down with the boat, right?
So there was a shipwreck projection with waves and tidal waves, and then it was supposed to sink. And then there were supposed to be these bubbles, and we had this whole thing where the ship wheel flew out on a fly, so it looked like they were underwater, and there was like David debris floating, and swimming.
Like mime swimming with the projections going up with our baby. And well, one night, instead of the projections, the Windows startup screen is surrounded by us.
A PowerPoint presentation with the Windows screen.
And David and I were like, what do we do? And he whispers to me, he's like, just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
What do we do? The scrim flies out like it's supposed to. And then, is that when you came out on stage?
Oh, no. Then 2 seconds later, we had another thing that was supposed to happen. The ship was supposed to unfold over the orchestra pit, and then the scrim was supposed to fly out. Well, the scrim got stuck. So, we're like yanking on it and trying to pull it. And we're like, this is not coming out. And the ship wouldn't unfold in the thing. And we're like going, oh my God. And this is like 4 minutes into the show. This is like the first sequence. And so we had to make a call because at the point the scrim wasn't going out, the ship wasn't unfolding. We couldn't do the show. So we had to stop the show. It was hysterical. So we stopped the show. The audience, of course, was incredibly gracious,
Yes.
enjoyed,
they love
and
it.
joyous because they got to see our technical director had to go up there and fix the scrim on a ladder.
Right.
So they're watching us do all this stuff, and we're like, let's try this again. So we reset
Start
it all
over.
up, started the whole show over, and luckily it went flawless the second time. But it was probably one of the most,
It's a very
for me as a
memorable
director, it was
mishap.
like, here we are trying to and luckily Disney was not there that night, thank goodness.
Yes.
But for me, I'm like going, what if this did happen on Disney night? So it was so funny. But their story is the best because again, they're left alone on stage to make it work.
Only one's on stage.
To make it work. And I'm like pushing buttons and we're like yelling back and forth and we're running around the theater and we're like, what are we going to do? And our stage manager's like panicking. Do I stop it? Do I
and
not?
you know what?
And they're swimming.
They're
They're just swimming.
The audience loves that.
They
They
loved
love
it.
outtakes, right?
Yes. Oh,
because
yes.
they get to realize we're watching the most unique version of this show. And
Yes.
night to night, it's never going to be the same. It
Right.
makes them realize, oh, this isn't a pressing play on a TV. This is live.
Live
and
theater.
We get
Anything
to
go
see
wrong.
the things go wrong. So,
Yes.
it's always a fun story
Yeah.
to tell that one.
So good. So good. Awesome. Okay. So as we wrap up our time together, I know this episode when it airs, we're going to be close to kind of, holidays and sort of the year end moment, which I know is a big moment for nonprofits, right?
Yes.
I think, I don't know the stat, but I know that a lot of nonprofit funding happens towards the end of the year.
Yep.
So talk to me a little bit about that, just the importance of sort of this season and moment, and maybe you're just kind of called to the community of how they can get involved and the importance of what it means.
Yeah, it's Year in Giving is our big fundraiser that we do at the end of the year. We usually wrap it around. We're doing a cabaret performance.
It's a gala event where we try to represent all the spokes of the wheel. So Symphony will perform a little bit. There's testimonials. We talk about our national impact, the need for the giving, and how much we rely on community support beyond the ticket sales. So that happens. It's going to happen every year. And this gala is something we just tried out last year, and we're hoping that becomes a new tradition for people to support the Wagon Wheel at the end of the year by coming to see this event and donate on that day. So,
and looking forward to it. I mean, we have all these great talent, people performing, and
alumni coming back.
We get
possibly.
one of the things in the community that always talks about. It's like, I wish there was more cabarets or more entertainment that was live entertainment that we could go to. So we're trying to fill that niche as well to give them this is going to be a different kind of fundraiser you're going to go to. It's not just like where we sit there with charts and things. You are going to be entertained. We're going to do comedy. There's going to be an orchestra that playing. There's going to be the kids. All the stuff. So it's just going to be. It's a lot of fun more than anything.
Yeah. And I think part of that gala will also explain those stats about how much we should not be relying on ticket sales. And I think that, again, that's part of that message to get out to the community that buying a ticket, yes, is a huge support to us. But beyond that ticket, we need that community
donations,
support. And the donation,
supports,
major giving. Someone to give to a big fancy endowment fund would be awesome.
Legacy giving, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So that is definitely something we hope to propel in the future.
And this isn't for us. This is for what we always say is the long-term sustainability of the theater. It's like, we're not going to live forever. We're not going to be here forever. But I want the Wagon Wheel to continue on.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is our 70th anniversary, but I want it to be 100. I want it to live to be 150. And we'll pass this on to somebody at some point. But I want to pass it on with the knowledge that, okay, it's going to be okay.
Yes.
It's going to be able to sustain itself and run. And I know our community supports it, and I know that they're 100% behind it. But I think it's just getting that messaging out how important it is for us to continue to get that support and some more if we can to make sure we remain sustainable.
Excellent.
Well, and we would love that big fancy present that says, "Hey, let's make a new theater 5 years from now. Let's build."
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's
our
build, let's
facility
expand.
our facility is old, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
70 years old.
Yeah.
And it was never meant to be a permanent structure. It was a tent that became an open flap
It was only
aluminum
meant for
building.
summers,
And
not meant for year round.
So we are feeling that, and hopefully maybe in the near future there'll be another big capital push for a remodel. But again, we have to get the sustainability side of it in check, and then do that big push for something fancy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and that may be the answer to my next question is, as you think about the future, what are you excited about? What are you hopeful for?
We kind of touched on it. The excitement is that with this new ALT, with the structure that we have, and with the board that we are getting together, as far as like having a lot more communication, a lot more function moving forward, as we work on the sustainability. And I think that is, to us, what we're looking forward to the most. As I've been here a long time. I want the theater to be sustained. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to worry about selling tickets to shows. I want it to be able to be like, I can wake up in the morning going, you know what, we got it. We got it this year. We got it.
Yeah.
And we're going to be able to do all these shows, and we're going to be able to do all these kid programs and all this stuff, and the funding is going to be there to support it. And I think it's moving to the future. That's the thing I look forward to the most. Sure, a fancy new building sounds exciting, but there's something about nostalgia too.
Yeah.
I love that building. You know, it's like there's things about it. There's things I'd love to fix and to update and renovate.
Sure.
But, you know, to me, I never really wanted a big, shiny new theater, because then the charm of the Wagon Wheel will kind of go with that. I mean, it's like going, it would be great to, you know, moving forward, to have a nice new building, but the charm would be lost. The problems that I have to solve would be gone.
And we will always be in the round.
Always be in the round. Even if we built a new theater, it would be in the round.
We did a capital push years ago, and people had heard about it in the community and said, please tell me you're not going to get rid of the theater in the round. I said, no, that will never go away, because that is what we're founded on. That's part of what makes the Wagon Wheel so special.
Yeah. Love that. So for anybody that, you know, maybe they're hearing about the Wagon Wheel for the first time as they're listening to this, what's the best way to connect?
Come see a show. Come see Elf this Christmas.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a great...
Come through our front doors.
Come through the front door, get that experience. It will change the way you look at theater. Because again, seeing it on a proscenium stage when you're, you know, in the balcony and you're seeing little specks of people walking around on stage, it's not the same as sitting in the front row when they're literally standing right in front of you. It's so immersive. Anything that you think you've seen before is going to be a completely different experience. Like maybe you've seen, like next summer we're doing Footloose. Maybe you've seen Footloose before, but you've never seen it in the round. You're going to love seeing that show that close to you, that immersive. The environment is all around you. It's a different, visceral, all-knowing experience. And that's the number one thing that we sell. It's like, but you have to come in the door to experience that. You can't, there's no movie that's going to replace it. There's nothing. It's like, you have to come in and you have to experience it for yourself. Come see a kid show. We have a junior show, a great Halloween show coming up, a Trial of the Wicked Witch, which is tons of fun. We have an open house where they can come play games and trick or treat and do costume contests. We try to make all these things like a fun event for the whole family so that they can come out and spend the day with us and see a great show with our talented kids in the community. And then, of course, we have next summer season, which is just going to be huge. We have Cats, and we have Carousel, then we do Footloose, and then we're doing Dial M for Murder, and then we end the season with Anything Goes, which is a Cole Porter thing, which is from Indiana. So lots of great ties there. So I just think come see theater, come see anything we do there, and that's the best way to experience us.
Absolutely. And so give people the website. And I was looking at Elf tickets the other day. Those tickets are moving.
Yes, they are. So just so you know, both times we've done the show, the first time it sold out before we even opened. The second time it sold out the first week. So if you want to see Elf, get your tickets now, because again, people are like, they're not thinking about the holidays now, but they will be soon.
Yes.
And the minute that they start doing, those tickets are going to go, because we've had a great track record with Elf as far as selling goes.
Yeah. So what's the website people need to go to?
www.wagonwheelcenter.org.
Awesome. Awesome. Very good. Well, again, Scott, Jen, thank you so much for coming and being on the show. Thank you for really giving your lives to this work. And again, it's impressed on me that you both had people that spoke into your story, into your life, helped you direct to the work that you're doing today. And now you are doing that for others and so many in our community. So thank you for your leadership, your stewardship of the Wagon Wheel. And for all of our listeners and viewers, cannot encourage you enough. Get over to the Wagon Wheel, support them, go to a show. It's an experience you will never forget. Thank you for joining us on Stories That Move. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Stories That Move, brought to you by Dream On Studios.
Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss the next episode. And remember, if you or your organization have a story you're eager to share with the world, Dream On Studios is here to bring that story to life.
Don't hesitate to reach out. You can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or visit our website at dreamonstudios.io. We understand how overwhelming it can be trying to bring your vision and story to life, but that's why we exist, and we've walked alongside hundreds of clients doing that very thing.
Yeah. We believe every story has the potential to inspire, to move, and to make a difference. Let's make yours heard.
Until next time, keep moving forward and keep telling those stories that matter.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time on Stories That Move.